I was surprised. So I went looking, I suppose, for evidence that this fundamentally changed the sort of national orientation of Ukrainians who didn't think of themselves in national terms. And we do see some evidence of that. But I suppose I went into it understanding this previous historiography, which suggested that things went very well in the schools in terms of Ukrainization. And I was surprised that it didn't. I mean, I expected some indication of resistance, but I was surprised by the number of files that I encountered that suggested high levels of resistance, particularly in cities, right? In the countryside, there you see much greater evidence of acclaim. Teachers are struggling to adapt to the new orthography as defined by Kharkiv and to these strange instructions for pursuing a progressive pedagogy that they didn't entirely understand. But there's a fair amount of resistance. One can understand that, I think, if you sort of one has to question what the archival material is, right? It's natural, I think, that we see when there's problems, people talk about them, and that appears in the archival record, right? When there's an absence of problems, that's somewhat harder to find. But even more than that, I'd say it's this issue of decentralization. I mean, to me, given what happened, that is that ultimately many of these teachers were swept up in arrests associated with the trial against the so-called Union for Liberation of Ukraine, Spілка, визволення України. And the sort of polemics you see by the mid-1930s, but even earlier than that, against nationalist teachers, I was surprised that the state didn't have more control over the process, that it wasn't more centrally directed than it was.